Yeah, I learned I learned if I have less time to pause more, just because I want to be hearing him and I don't want to cram in more words. And I'm just so happy to be here. And this is my second place I've shared in the last 18 months outside of my own nation, Mozambique. And I want to start with a confession. For about 26 years, I've traveled the world a third of my life and had to get on a lot of planes and leave my family and my country, northern Mozambique. And I did it for him, and I gave myself for him to do that. And I fussed for a while, and then I found joy in it, because he said, I've called you to do it, and I want you to find joy in it. I want you to love whatever my will is for your life. And I just lost it. Like, I'm sorry, Lord. Because I used to just cry, get on the plane, and I just cry, and I'd say, why, Lord? And I would say terrible things like, they're not hungry in the West. And I would say that to the Lord, as if I had the right, the arrogance to tell the Lord what to do with me. And these 18 months where there was no travel outside of, I got to see my family and get a new tooth. That was it, you know. It was just, I was back to what I did. Most of you don't know, and you don't need to, but what I did 2/3 of the time, which is preach in the dirt with no microphone. And just hold the poor. It's so hard to be up here. It is like a catwalk. It really is. It's like, sweet Jesus, I want to see their face. Anyway, we can work with it. It's not dirt, but we can work with it, you know. So I'm there. It's funny. God has a sense of humor, you know. I don't really have much of one, but when I get hit by Holy Spirit, it's like, it's really quite fun, you know, like. So, sometimes we have a slick stage, which is the back of a 4-ton or an 8-ton truck, and we jump up there, you know. It's really slick. And I was just so, it's been most crazy, painful 18 months where I've lost hundreds of friends. I don't know how many. I don't know how many. They just died. They've been crucified and beheaded. And their homes burned. This is in my province, where Roland and I live. And I was like, God, I think now, I told the Lord, I was in a meeting with you and the other Michael, two Michaels, and Lyle. First meeting I did, 18 months outside of my country, besides Zoom. And I had the audacity to tell the Lord that I was done traveling now. That I think we did enough. That 26 years of going, a third of my life was enough. And then I was in a meeting and Michael was there, and suddenly I started groaning in the spirit. And I was like, Lord, seriously? So many people think I'm nuts already. You know, and I'm sure I was the loudest one. And I was groaning and groaning and groaning with words that cannot be uttered, just like, I can't do it. There's no way I could make myself do it unless Holy Spirit's on me, but I could yield to it or I could resist. And I was like, Lord, aren't we done, you know, aren't we done traveling? And do I need to look foolish again in the West? And I said some things like, I don't go on all the social media, so I don't know, but sometimes people tell me things and I'm like, I don't want to hear. And I don't want to go. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to go. And God himself, you know, he knows how to use a religious term for some of you, rebuke you. God knows how to do it. He's like, it wasn't gentle Holy Spirit saying, you know, sweetie, it's okay. I understand, sweetheart. You are getting older, and that's a lot on your body, honey. And it's okay. And they've got lots of other preachers, and you don't need to go. It's give me a hug, honey. Sometimes God was he's just, you know, Daddy, God, let's come and snuggle with me, honey. And we'll just snuggle. I love snuggling. I'm a snuggler. I snuggle with my 38-year-old when I see him. Snuggle and scrub, snuggle and snuggle. I love to snuggle. I like it when just in the presence, snuggling with the Lord. This was not a snuggle. There was no snuggling whatsoever. He said, how dare you tell me when you go where and do what? You said, anywhere, anytime, and you'd say anything. I said, oh, Jesus. It means I'm not going to be able to get to my room by myself, am I? I mean, I'm thinking clearly. You don't know it, but I'm thinking clearly and I can hear you. So I'm telling her, like, this is it. It took 2-3 people. The Lord, that was before I shared. I was groaning. I'm like, Lord, what are we doing here? He said, you're groaning for America. You're groaning in intercession for America. You're groaning in intercession for America, and it's 911. 911, you're groaning in intercession for America, and you are called to intercede and called to pray and called to fast and called to believe for another move of my Spirit in America. And it's wake up time for the church. It's wake up time for the church. It's wake up time for the church. Show